Swell Season Surf Radio is recorded by the NewsStand Studio at Rockefeller Center in the heart of Manhattan and is distributed by WAX.Radio. Hello and welcome to Swell Season Surf Radio. I am your host for this episode, Tyler Brewer. Our guest has probably stitched up more surfers in Rockaway than any other surgeon in recent years. On a small groveling day at 67th Street, Rockefeller resident and local connector Camille Murphy asked if I knew Dr. Joe Wolf, and then immediately introduced me to him while showing off his handiwork on her near-invisible scar on her upper lip from a previous surf accident. Dr. Joseph Wolf, MD, is originally from Five Towns and is a leading aesthetic and reconstructive plastic surgeon with a private practice in New York City's Upper East Side. Board certified in plastic surgery, Dr. Wolf pairs state-of-the-art technique with a disciplined aesthetic inspired by his profound respect for the body's own design and function. And he is our guest on this episode of Swell Season Surf Radio. Dr. Joe, welcome to the show.
Ty, thanks so much.
How's your pie, guy?
Pie's well. Finally get to say that.
So, I imagine you have some amazing stories from local surfers, and I'm sure it was always the other person's fault.
always the other person's fault. He ran into me.
He ran into me.
He
dropped in on me. He ran into me.
Before they say their name, he ran into me. Who are you? He ran into me. It was his fault. His board, his fin to my face. He was nice to help me out, but he ran into me.
He ran into you.
For sure.
Exactly.
Always.
How long have you been practicing surgery?
I've been in private practice for 13 years.
Wow.
For 13 years now in the city.
Wow. And you went to Albert Einstein College of Medicine originally? And
I graduated from Albert Einstein,
yes.
And then I trained in the city, and then I went up to Albany for plastic surgery training, where I saw a lot of trauma up there.
Really?
Yeah, it's a place filled with trauma. A lot of people doing wild stuff, guns, snowboarding, a lot of heavy-duty machinery.
Wow.
So I kind of fell in love with that aspect of plastic surgery there.
You fell in love with the trauma aspect.
Love the trauma. Yeah, it's good stuff. People in need. They need help.
But like right now you practice on the Upper East Side. I don't imagine do you see a lot of trauma up there? Or is it more?
Not a ton. It's more, small scale trauma, but the office is a different type of trauma. It's more aesthetics. Absolutely. But you grew up in Five Towns. I grew up in the Five Towns, just over the bridge.
Now, but you just started surfing relatively recently, correct? Like how long ago did you start surfing?
About 4 or 5 years ago. One of my students in the hospital, was a California kid, and I was teaching him how to sew, and he was like, "Let me take you for a day.
Yeah,
you need it." So he was this hipster dude in Brooklyn, and so I picked him up one morning, and we went to Rockaway like in September. It was kind of big, and I got totally rejected. And he was out, and he made it look so simple. And for years, I had this bug. I was like, I'm going to get this.
Really?
So I did a couple more sessions on my own. A couple years later, even.
Really?
And I just got the bug. I would go out with this guy Eddie. He lived in a van. And,
he lived in a van down by the river?
He lived in a van by the river. And we'd go out.
In a van down by the river.
Down by the river.
Yeah.
And he was drunk all the time. And he would just take me out. And if it was like flat, like a lake, he would take me out and just push me in. It was kind of pathetic, but...
But how did you... So, like, you're kind of, like, become, like, a... I don't know how you describe it. Like you've become like a fixture in the Rockaway community, at least.
That's nice.
And like everyone I've talked to a lot of people who are like, oh, Dr. Joe stitched me up, or Dr. Joe. Like, how did that come about? What was the first surf stitch you had to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Basically, what happened was I started doing surf stitches on. My first one was Camille.
Really?
My first one was Camille. A friend of hers that I had helped out in the city for something else called me up one day and asked me if I could help out a friend of hers. Wow. So I met Camille, and it was around the time when I was starting to surf. Yeah. And we took care of Camille, and we became kind of friends. I used to see her in the lineup, and then I used to see her more and more.
What was her? Give us her story. What happened to her?
I have permission from Camille
to
talk
permission.
about it.
Okay, great.
I have permission from Camille.
Of course, she introduced us. You know, she's like, you have to have Dr. Joe on, so she has to kind of give her story.
Yeah,
there.
Camille.
Well, she's not here.
Exactly. So Camille got hit by a big surfboard.
Yeah.
Busted her lip. Someone ran into her, of course. Of course. And she had a pretty tough injury. She had like a full split lip, like a full
like almost cleft style kind of.
Not almost. The real deal, cleft.
Really?
Full on like snake split lip.
Oh, how long did she have to?
So that's the thing. So we got her into the hospital fast and sewed her up, and she did great. And we got her back in the water the next day. I'm not one of these yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go for it. You gotta live. Life is short. You gotta get back in the water.
Look at you.
Gotta get it back in the water really fast.
So what goes into like a stitch like that? What goes into something like that? Like how gnarly is that too? Like would other surgeons have taken the care? Like, I mean, what distinguishes you? Because you clearly, a lot of people have said like Dr. Joe will make it like invisible almost.
I think that may be generous, but I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
So maybe give it a little love. I enjoy the experience for me.
Yeah.
The trauma patient. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of meticulous, taking care of the wound, handling the skin and the muscles delicately. Yeah. And that's all I do. I'm just really a carpenter. So a lot of other doctors who take like ER doctors, they take care of so much stuff. Yeah. But all I do is just sew.
That's your specialty.
So I can't take care of a heart attack or, diabetes, but I can sew the lights out.
or stitch your wetsuit if you need.
Or stitch your wetsuit. Absolutely. Always stitching the wetsuit. I love stitching wetsuits.
Fun fact, when I was a kid, like my friends and I, we would have gashes in our wetsuits, and how we would fix them is we would use dental floss to stitch them because it bound together nicely with the neoprene and didn't like cut through it as much.
Beautiful.
So
I love
just a little helpful hint there.
I appreciate that.
I don't know what it would be like to stitch with for you with the dental floss.
It's not far from what we use. It's not far from what we use. A little catgut or nylon. I'm going to try the dental floss. Is it mint? Use mint?
Mint. Yeah,
better.
Mint is nicer because it helps mask the urine smell from your wetsuit.
Always, obviously, the mint, waxed mint, waxed and mint,
exactly.
For sure, not the cheap shit. Go for it.
I mean, and so then what? Camille is like kind of a connector. So I imagine then it was like on from there. Like you must have then just been getting calls every week.
Correct. So people know Camille. She's kind of like a popular person out there. She's very friendly in the ocean. She surfs nicely. People see her. She's not aggressive.
She's very polite. Very friendly.
Very friendly. Very easy to get along with. So, and she's super helpful. So when people need something, she's always happy to offer, like whatever.
I would say she embodies the aloha spirit really nicely.
Amen. Shout out, Camille.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go, Camille.
She was supposed to be a guest on when we had the whole Rockefeller crew, but she had to bail.
I heard.
I think she she regrets that. We'll get her on one day.
Yeah.
She's a big fan of Swell Season, apparently.
Big, huge. So basically, Camille, I would surf with Camille, and we were pretty much on the same level.
Yeah.
And we just have good sessions together, and we're not looking to get hurt, and we don't really go in the pack, and we find our own area.
Yeah.
And we just have a good vibe. We have really nice sessions together. Years ago, she introduced me to like my other best friend, Sean, that I met. So she introduced me to this guy.
Sean Crowley, former guest on the show.
Former guest, K-Piss.
And a shredder as well.
Major shredder. And she introduced me to him, and he's been my Miyagi.
Yeah.
He's been my Miyagi and my mentor. My Rabbi Sean.
You're surfing, what is it? I'm having a brain fart here, but yes.
Yeah, he's my man.
Yes.
He's my mentor, and he keeps an eye on me, make sure I'm, doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And if I don't talk to him about surf, he's like, "What's going on? You haven't mentioned anything recently."
Really?
Shoujo Crow. Yeah.
Shoujo Crow.
Yeah. Even though I don't have...
Do you miss him, though, because he's in Mexico?
I speak to him every day, and he's actually coming over next week.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, we have.
So, what advice does he impart on you for surfing? What have you learned? Or like etiquette, technique.
He's taught me everything. He's really been the wind beneath my wings, Sean. God bless him. He's been my mentor. He's taught me about the journey and about my journey, and he's let me make my mistakes.
Yeah.
He's watched me buy the wrong boards, and he's stood by quietly without yelling at me, and he's like, "You see, I told you." Like when I graduate, he's like, "I told you, but I didn't say anything. I'm letting you do your own journey."
It's funny. I feel like there's a lot of new surfers, and it's when I grew up, there was always an older surfer that would kind of take you under their wing, or they may not be your main kind of teacher or instructor, but there was a group of older surfers that would help show you the way and help you navigate the surf world, and also would probably give you a certain level of humility as well, and abuse to keep you in line.
Correct. Beautiful.
But I feel like today it's a little harder, and I feel like partially a lot of older surfers, some of us have a dereliction of duty, and we need to be reaching out more to newer surfers in order to, bring people into the fold and, show them the path, but also allow them to make those mistakes, and learn from them, and I think you're really lucky to have Sean as one of your surfing mentors.
Yeah, super blessed. The thing that is so attractive to me that in my practice, in my profession, there's not a lot of that. There's actually a lot of sabotage, and a lot of people even the people that train, for the most part, they want you to do well, but don't do that well. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you end up becoming competition for them in the real world. And there's people, I don't have an older brother, so people were really kind of tough on me. There's one guy who is extremely generous, like Dave Rosenberg, one of the top plastic surgeons in the universe.
Yeah.
He really took me under his wing, but for the most part, everyone else was very in the sabotage role.
Is that throughout the medical field, do you think? Or is that just specifically in plastic surgery?
Plastic surgeons usually real.
It sounds pretty cutthroat. Yeah, I mean, I watch, that show on E! With those guys where...
I hear those guys are nice, actually.
They seem nice, but it's it does seem like a lot of self-promotion and a lot of, because you're dealing with a lot of vanity, with it. It's not not always a life or death thing.
Correct. It's all vanity.
It's all vanity.
It's all vanity. Nah, it's real. It's real. The vanity is real to a lot of people. But as far as the mentor stuff, there's not a lot of great mentoring. Where there are a few, and I was blessed to have a whole bunch in my training. But in the community, there's not that much of people trying to look out for you. I had a student, and a young surgeon. He was like, "Joe, I have to tell you something. I'm going to open up a practice in the city." Yeah. I was like, obviously you are.
Yeah.
I want you to, and I want you to thrive. But the energy is like, oh no, there's going to be competition.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's plenty of patience. There's plenty of waves. You'll catch them all, bro. I want to watch you. It's more fun if I see you catching waves, and more fun if I see you,